Hello, everyone. This is Sincere of Teacher Sincere's channel, and welcome. So, this is another unplanned video that I just got together at the spur of the moment because I found out late this afternoon, that today is actually World Poetry Day. And, we have a lot of these holidays or world this and that day and all of this now. I don't recall having these different days for different people or different causes or any of this up until recent years. I don't remember this when I was young. Maybe I was asleep. I don't know. Okay. We live in a strange time, at least for me. Maybe it's age. Tomorrow I'll be 61 years old. And so for someone my age, unless they're just really with it, they still, they think they're back 20 years old and they're always with it and they're with what's going on. Unless you're like that when you're a person my age that, more on the serious side, you things look a little bit weird. Okay. But that's another story. I don't want to dive too deep into that. I want to get on topic here. So, but this is March 21st. And, while I'm recording this, it's a little after 9 p.m. on Tuesday. Yesterday actually was the first day of spring here, but it's more like winter again where I am. We started experiencing spring earlier this month. And everything bloomed out and blossomed out, and you saw all these blossoms on the trees in my neighborhood, and bees and wasps, all the summer type creatures came out, the insects, and now they've gone back in because it's gotten cold and we are at freezing temperatures at night. It's been nice and sunny though, but it's cold. But I like the winter weather. It means more clothes, and I like to wear a lot of clothes. So, yeah. But anyway, but I decided for World Poetry Day to get this little video in before it's too late. That what I would do, I would actually read some of my own poetry. Now, this evening, after I just happened to come across one of these holidays or days that you only hear about unless you're on the internet, or maybe they mention it on television, but I don't know because I haven't watched television in 12 years. I don't play that. I don't watch television. Okay. But for some reason, I'm able to keep up with what's going on. Today I had a student, he's not one of my regular students, but he calls me from time to time, and he's a Korean gentleman. Looks older than most of my students, who tend to be in their 20s and 30s. He looks like he might be at least 50. Okay, but he might be a little younger than that. But every time he calls me, he wants to talk about politics. He wants me to explain what's going on in the United States. And I told him today, I said, look, I probably know more what went on in 10th century Turkey, 1,000 years ago in Turkey, than I know what's going on now. But then I proceeded to tell him about, the thing with the Silicon Valley Bank collapsing, and Donald Trump saying that he's going to be arrested. It was either today or tomorrow. I don't recall which one. I don't really keep up with him, and all that about Stormy Daniels and the war in Ukraine. And I mentioned about Vladimir Putin, the ICC, the International Criminal Court, has put out an arrest warrant for him. So for someone who doesn't watch television, I guess I could say I'm a bit informed of what's going on. I'm not completely in the dark. But anyway, I wanted to read some of my poetry. I was running through my house after I found out it was a World Poetry Day, trying to decide which poets I was going to read. And at first, I thought about reading some of my favorite poets, poetry by Alexander Pushkin, who was the father of modern Russian poetry and literature. and also of African ancestry. His I think his great grandfather was an African child who was adopted by Tsar Peter the Great. Then I thought about reading some poetry by Nizar Kabani, who was a Syrian poet. Considered he's like the poet of love in the Arab world. Then I thought about reading maybe some poetry by Faroukzad, who is she was an Iranian poet, modern poet, considered quite scandalous in her day. She died in the she was killed in a car accident in the late 1960s, and her poetry was banned, particularly under Ayatollah Khomeini. But then I think now her poetry might not be banned now in Iran, but I'm not sure. But she's one of my favorite poets. Among the other two that I mentioned, there's Mahmoud Darwish, who is like the national poet of the Palestinians. I love his poetry. And there are others, but those are among my favorites. But I decided, hey, you write poetry. Why don't you read some of yours? So, so I'm going to torture you and let you hear some of my poetry. Okay. I could be cruel. Okay. But yeah, I'm going to let you hear some of my poetry. So we're going to start with one of them in just a little bit. Now, this poem is has to do with this photograph here. This photograph was actually taken by me in 2003 on the Acropolis in Athens, Greece. And if you look closely at the picture, you will see growing through the ancient rock is a little red poppy. And so I wrote a poem about this, and I'm going to let you, I'm going to read it to you right now. Okay. It's untitled. Okay. So it's about this poppy. So here I go. How did you push yourself through ancient rock? I wondered that day, a tourist on the Acropolis, a lonely poppy, fragile, small, like blood splashed and staining stone above Athens. The Parthenon, once pagan temple, then church, then mosque, now broken ruin, blanketing you in its shadow. Okay. So that's that. There's my poem about the little poppy. When I first saw that poppy, or much later, that poppy reminded me of Tupac Shakur's poem, "The Rose That Grew Through the Concrete," I believe. So yeah, that's a poem I wrote. I wrote this poem. I went there in 2003. Okay, it went to Athens, Greece, but I wrote the poem much later. Okay, so let's go on to my next poem. All right, my next poem is based on Turkey. And today, actually, if I correct me if I'm wrong, today is the first day of Ramadan. Okay, the holy month for the Muslims, and they will fast up until like I think maybe about April the 20th. So yeah, so this is the first day of Ramadan, and so I wrote a poem. I was inspired to write this poem back when I was staying in Istanbul, and I was out one night. I was driving, and I wasn't driving, but I was riding with some friends, and it was Ramadan. We were going, I think, maybe to Iftar. Iftar is the meal that, after sunset, around a certain time after sunset, Muslims break their fast. They fast throughout the day, and then they break their fast in the evening at a certain time. So so we were driving, and and the minarets were lit up, and they had like green lights around the minarets. The minarets are the towers around the mosque. Okay. And so this is a photo in Istanbul of Hagia Sophia. Hagia Sophia is the old name, but Hagia Sophia. And then I guess the other one over there is Suleymaniye Mosque. I'm not sure, but correct me if I'm wrong. But so I wrote a poem. It's called Ramazan in Turkey. Turks pronounce Ramadan, Ramazan. So I'm going to read this poem, okay, called Ramazan in Turkey. Ramazan in Turkey. The minarets are tall, elegant fingers wearing emerald rings. The lights of Ramazan. This is the only Muslim country I have lived in. The call to prayer swims, weaves, echoes beautifully over cities, towns, villages. Serenity dances in the air. Friends and family break their fast, dining and sipping tea from tulip glasses. This is not a song of terrorism, as some Westerners have been trained to think. Goodwill is here as intended. Ramadan in Turkey. The minarets wear green emerald rings, brightly in the night against the dark curtained sky. This is the only Muslim country I really know. I am not uneasy here. The seagulls over Istanbul have flown, gone home. All right, so that is Ramadan in Turkey. The last poem that I'm going to read was inspired by the little carnival that comes to the mall in my town. Every summer, there's a little carnival that has a Ferris wheel. That's the thing that really stands out. That's in the parking lot of the mall, and so it comes and stays several weeks in the summer, and then it goes away. And so the main attraction there is the Ferris wheel. And so I wrote a poem. Was inspired by me passing by, going to the mall one evening a number of years ago, and I wrote this poem. It's called "Nearing the End of a Spring Evening." Okay, all right. So, okay. So, all right. So sometimes I think it comes like near the end of late spring, and then stays through part of the summer. Okay, so correction there. All right. So, nearing the end of a spring evening. The drowsy sun sits nestled in its personal corner of the western sky. We drive, savoring this orange ball, this orb of fire, smoky blue, gray clouds, defacing it in a beautiful way. To be defaced and defamed in a beautiful way takes monumental effort. This evening we fail to find the thing we sought at the mall. Therefore we leave. In the distance, we see an artificial beauty, newly installed against the sky. The little carnival has come back to town for its annual run. The Ferris wheel lights emeralds and azure topaz. The wheel like life moving slowly until the riders get off. All right, well, I'm going to end here. I just wanted to share something to celebrate World Poetry Day, because I'm a poetry lover, and I write poetry, and so I just had to do this. I said, okay, I'm not going to do this. I am going to just let the day go by. Okay. But I feel passionate about poetry. I forgot to mention that Nazim Hikmet, and you can look on my, I'll probably put it in the description section, but I've done 2 videos on my channel so far about 2 poets. Okay. I recently did one about pre-Islamic poet Antarah ibn Shaddad. And I also did one a few months ago about Nazim Hikmet, who was one of the great modern poets of Turkey. So yeah, I just wanted to do this video because, like I said, I am passionate about poetry. I write poetry, and so this is something that is really important to me. And so I just adore poetry. So I'm going to end here. So I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoyed my poetry and learned something new. So this is Sincere Ray. Until next time.